Welcome back to Left Anchor. I'm Alexi the Greek.
And I'm Ryan Cooper. So today we are welcoming back to the podcast Professor Harvey Kaye, the historian, famous and respected scholar of British Marxists.
And Thomas Paine and FDR.
Yeah, and many other topics. But welcome back, Harvey. It's good to see you. It's been too long.
Thank you. And I felt it was too long, too, which is why I think I probably sent you what I said. Well, I would have sent it anyhow, but it did cross my mind. Maybe it'd make for a good conversation.
It's good to have you back just to hear what's been on your mind. Since, you know, that Lenin quote is more apt than usual these days. Every week feels like a decade. So been missing out on your commentary. So we're curious.
I'll just, to bring you up to date, I'm in the middle with Alan Minsky writing a book. The subtitle, at least that's what the plan is The Case for an Economic Bill of Rights. We think the title, or the working title, is The Last Best Hope for Democracy.
Yeah, but what you wanted to talk about today was Christian nationalism. And, you know, what interests me about this whole, the period in which we're living is that it feels like, you know, we're kind of returning to the very most basic foundational building blocks of politics. So how does a society operate, as happened during the founding of this country and the writing of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence? You know, a sort of revolutionary moment. You're getting down to the brass tacks. Down to the nut cutting, as Lyndon Johnson would say when he was talking about political negotiations. And you wanted to talk about Christian nationalism, specifically in the context of, you know, how it is just a completely
anathema,
totally, dissonant with the vision of the founders for like pretty much across the board, even the bad ones. You know, this is not really a notion that existed in the 18th century, which I think, you know, I think it's worth sort of thinking about this. There is in the academy, in the legal academy especially, this notion of originalism, which is like coded as conservative. This is what the conservatives say they're doing. That we have to return to the original meaning. We have to go back. We have to transplant our brain somehow. We have to travel back in time to figure out what James Madison would have thought about the internet. And that's how we have to write the regulations. And like that's...
And by the way, that does make for a good dinner time conversation.
Yeah. I mean, and
it does.
So, you know, and obviously like that's kind of a ridiculous notion. People, probably James Madison himself would have been like, what are you talking about? You know, there was a lot of technological progress in his time and immediately afterwards. But, you know, the extent to which the conservatives in the academy, you know, especially on the Supreme Court, have sort of innovated a kind of anti-originalism, where they're doing explicitly the exact opposite of what the people who wrote the Constitution and especially the Reconstruction Amendments would have said. You know, men like John Bingham and William Stewart, who wrote the 14th and the 15th Amendment, you know, for the most part, respectively. And so anyway, you know, the point being that like, I think it could be intellectually interesting, stimulating politically to actually sort of think about what would the founders have thought about this sort of millenarian, antinomian, quote unquote, Christian nationalism that exists today in the form of a kind of cult of personality around Donald Trump. The
contradictions you've laid out without even nodding to them are great.
Yeah. But maybe, you know, I don't know if you would want to tackle this, Harvey, or Alexi, you might want to, but like, I think maybe we should start with like, what is Christian nationalism? Like, what is meant by that phrase?
Yeah, I'll just say that when the opportunity arises to get into the historical reality that they refuse to acknowledge, I'll chime in all the more, but we'll leave this to Alexi.
Well, and we could even go the other way. We could start with, I mean, because people might ask, as you kind of suggested, Ryan, why should we care? what the founding was all about. Right.
Yeah.
Because on the left, for our listeners, you don't have the problem of a kind of reactionary worship of like a white supremacist kind of like founding and that kind of thing. But you might get a kind of suspicion of the founding in our history. And of course, we've tried to disabuse readers of the necessity of that narrative, right, with Harvey and his scholarship and the reclaiming of our history for the radical emancipatory purposes that are there in the Declaration and in Thomas Paine and others' writings and work. So maybe it might be good to start with like why it matters at all, because you also suggested, Ryan, that like getting back to brass tacks, why is the experiment that was the United States of America such a revolutionary break, and why is that important for today and understanding why democracy and for us socialism are commensurate with those ideals, right?
Yeah.
Because, Harvey, people might tell you, why should I care about these dead old white guys? That was, there was slavery back then, and there was all this, genocide and oppression. And
yeah,
why does that matter?
Put us in the shoes of the people that sort of like the Thomas Paine, like him and his contemporaries, and to think about someone who in a modern context is saying like, oh, we need an explicitly religious government that's set up to promulgate our own particular doctrine about religion. And the founders, almost to a man, were like, no, that is not what we want.
That's the end of the preview, folks. If you'd like to listen to the rest of the episode, you can subscribe at patreon.com/leftanchor, where for $5 a month, you can get our bonus episodes. And at $10 a month, you can get our bonus episodes, plus also a roughly 60% off discount on an American Prospect print subscription. We've changed how that one works. And if you're having any trouble with that, by the way, as an existing subscriber, shoot us an email at leftanchorpodcast@gmail.com. We'll get you sorted out. In any case, thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next one.